the Honorable Member, Ms. Geeta Chandan Edmond. She's okay. She's currently being reviewed at the medical center, and she's surrounded by her loved ones. And of course, she's responding positively. As a member of the opposition, Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, we would like to thank the Speaker, the staff, also the members on the government side for giving support in this time of aid. It shows how both sides can work together in the face of adversities. We would also like to say thanks to the EMT team for the quick response. And of course, we wish the Honorable Member Edmond well and speedy recovery. Mr. Speaker, allow me a minute of my allocated time to wish the members of this Honorable House and Guyanese locally and abroad God's richest blessings and a prosperous new year. Also, I say thanks to the staff that worked tirelessly in compiling this year's budget estimates, but I pause to flag the directive of the subject minister, and by extension, ultimately the government as misguided and out of touch with the daily realities of the average Guyanese. Mr. Speaker, the contributor before me made some claims with regards to the lighting and rehabilitation of various fields. And I want to say this here, that we had the best government that this country could ever dream of, the APNU AFC. And under the directive of the then Director of Sport, Christopher Jones, currently our Chief Whip, we would have rehabilitated and lit Ithaca Community Center ground, Calcutta Community Center, Lovely Lads Community, Central Myconi, Litchfield, Art Settlement, Cottonfield, Trafalgar, Seafield, and much, much more. Mr. Speaker, today as I stand here to make my contribution to this round of budget, I stand as a proud Lindener, not the fake ones, 100% Lindener. The basis for me mentioning this is because we're a proud people, a resilient people, a united people. Linden and Region 10 is the heart of Guyana, the region that pumps life into this country, culturally, socially, and economically. My region bridges the gap between the coastline and the interior. It is strategically placed, which affords us the chance of reaching almost all the regions in Guyana. The three main rivers run through her. She is rich in minerals, timber, tourism products, arable land. It possesses a high education pursuit and talent. Mr. Speaker, Upper Demerara Berbice is a paradise, and someday it will achieve city status. However, it is a fact that owed to political spitefulness and suppression, this dream under the PPP will never come true. Just because its residents in every major election rejected them. Mr. Speaker, for 27 years, collectively, the PPP government placed their feet on the necks of Region 10 residents and forced it to be in a time warp, currently gasping for air. But guess what? Under the APNU AFC, things began to change. And might I remind this Honorable House, under the APNU AFC, we returned local government in 2016. We funded the Linden Enterprise Network to help young entrepreneurs. We built the passport office, completed the feasibility studies, finding source of funding for the Linden-Suzdijk Highway as well, and even the Wismar-Mackenzie Bridge, the Linden-to-Tumbumuro Highway. Mr. Speaker, I want to just stitch this in. The government prides itself with 4 lanes. We're asking as residents of Region 10 that we need a 4-lane highway as well, Linden-Suzdijk Highway. We provided proper maintenance, the Linden to Kokwani Road and the interiors from time to time, so to ensure the safe travel of our residents and persons going to do business in those areas. Our party introduced internet for the very first time in many indigenous communities. We must not forget that. But this government fails to realize that even with the GOLD program, there are indigenous communities that cannot have access to that program because they have not maintained those internet connections in those communities. So they're completely ignored. For instance, Kokwani, which needs internet access. Our party maintains its subsidies for electricity in Ituni and places like Kokwani. We began the construction of the LTI dorm so that persons within the interior can have access to higher education. We began the rehabilitation of the call center back then, achievement that this government currently claims and own. We also improved healthcare. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I just got a call from some workers at the Mackenzie Hospital, and they're saying that there's significant drug shortage. So greater emphasis by this government needs to be placed in healthcare. Mr. Speaker, under the APNU AFC government, we cared about the people and residents of Region 10. And we also increased the subvention of the municipality so that it can function effectively. And we were hoping in this year's budget we would see great subvention and improvement in subvention. The entire budgetary allocation for the RDC under the APNU AFC was accepted. There were no cuts or any deductions during our tenure. Mr. Speaker, the facts don't lie. And no matter how much the honorable members on the other side of this house comes with their legendary tales and promised fortunes and flowery speeches and movie references, the Guyanese people will not be bamboozled. Mr. Speaker, the devil is in the details. And after deciphering this massive trillion-dollar budget, the modus operandi of the PPP remains the same. Defund the opposition majority regional democratic councils so that central government can swoop in and look good and use this as a political ploy. Mr. Speaker, the facts don't lie, and I have it right here. For over the 3 years, Region 10's capital in budgetary allocation was the lowest in terms of increase. When we look at Region 2, which supposedly is their stronghold, it increased by 42.9%, but Region 10 only received over the last 3 years an increase of 25.4%. And you say that you want Region 10. Region 10 rejects the PPP, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they must speak the truth. In this year's budget, through the allocation provided by the RDC, there will be no roads in Kokwani under the RDC. Aichuni, Komata, Skytland, Block 22, and much more. Through our elected officials. There is no transformative project in the 11 indigenous villages that we have. And I'm sorry, the Honorable Minister responsible for Amerindian Affairs is not here. There is no mention of any significant investment in places like 58, Great Falls, Malali, Morataro, 47, Kururu, Wairuni, Kimbia, Sand Hills, Rockstone, and Rivers View. The Minister of Amerindian Affairs, your people are crying out that they need assistance. Mr. Speaker, I go even further. For some reason, the PPP government don't like board of directors. They don't like opinions of people coming together so that you can make a product or service work. We have had the absence of the Linden Enterprise Network board for a very long time, and even the Linden Hospital Complex and the people of Region 10 are asking for those boards to be in place because we're tired of unilateral decisions being made on behalf of our people. With regards to the new bridge that the PPP is claiming, this is a project of the APNU AFC. And listen, let me say this, despite of that fact, we support this project, and we're happy that the PPC is pushing ahead with this project. And I must say to you that I put the PPP on warning at this point in time that that bridge in Linden must not end up like the Barbies Bridge. Must never end up like the Barbies Bridge, whereby large exuberant sums are being charged to commuters. That will never happen in Linden. Moving to the municipality, Mr. Speaker, in this year's budgetary allocation, like I said, there's no increase in subvention. And let me say this here. It is my view, my opinion, and my strong standing that the administrative and policy arm of the council must be respected as guided by the Municipal and District Councils Act of Chapter 2801. And any activist that is politically appointed to fill such roles must ensure that the council is well guided and the will of the people is executed. Mr. Speaker, I go further to say that the APNU AFC, when we got into the municipality in 2016 by majority votes, we found that there was a tall bill that was inherited by the appointed interim management committee by the PPP. And currently, this debt is still being repaid. Mr. Speaker, the municipality needs a bailout. And let me tell you why. Currently, Linden is indebted by 288,601 million dollars. That is the reality. We owe LUSCSL over 86 million. National Insurance Scheme 157. Guyana Labor Union 3.8 million. Guyana Revenue Authority $29 million. Pension and gratuity over $10 million. Well, Mr. Speaker, as I represent the people of Linden here, we're not just asking for a bailout alone. We're asking for more support so that the council can function effectively. And the solution is simple. Start by increasing the subvention so that more projects can be executed through the municipality. The acquisition of a new sanitation equipment. We also say Linden needs a new municipal mall. The PPP would have built one in Monterey Post. Linden needs a municipal mall more than ever. And we also need the construction of a multi-state department building at Bamia, which will house police, immigration, the toll booth, and even an emergency response unit. That is what the people of Linden need. We also need the revaluation of residential and commercial properties so that we can increase our earnings as a town. Also, we need the expansion of the land boundaries. Mr. Speaker, my recommendations are simple when it comes to this budget 2024. And I speak on behalf of the people I represent in Upper Demerara Berbice. Consideration of a bridge for Kokwani is needed now more than ever. We need to bridge from Jeep Landing to the other side of Kokwani. And I know the Honorable Member Vikram Bharat, who frequents there steady, will make representation for this. Mr. Speaker, we also would like this government to explore and develop and even exploit tourism opportunities in all the indigenous villages and communities within Region 10. We must begin, and of course this year, you have to begin the construction of the industrial estate. We need to work with stakeholders to create a regional investment portfolio. Now I know, Mr. Speaker, I'm making all these points and they're taking notes to put in their manifesto, but let it be known here that AP and UAFC claims these projects. We must focus heavily on empowering the Guyanese labor force. Now I know we've been seeing in the media constantly that we need 500 nurses and they're going to be coming from Cuba, but we need to empower our own force and we need to create the better working conditions for our working force here in Guyana. Guyana must come first, Mr. Speaker. And also, we need to review the minimum wage of our public servants. Mr. Speaker, it's disheartening to note that recently, article was published by News Source, which says Guyanese now sending money to families overseas. And this here is with reference to the Honorable Member Charles Ramson's comment. Now, I don't know if the PPP government is out of touch or maybe they're getting their wealth from somewhere. But I know the reality in this country is long lines at MoneyGram, Western Union, and even Laparican are endless. But I'm not sure if the honorable members on that side of the house meant to say that Guyanese are sending barrels of oil maybe overseas. But the harsh reality is that the remittance rate in this country is extremely high, which is a sign of growing poverty. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, it's clear that this government don't have a plan for the working people, the poor people in this country. Mr. Speaker, persons cannot even afford to use toilet tissue lavishly anymore because things are so hard. One ply at a time, they say. Mr. Speaker, I also want to share with you that This PPP sings a song constantly, like the honorable member Kwame Wee McCoy that was singing just now. The PPP government sings the Frank Sinatra song all the time. I did it my way. I did it my way. But I'm saying this here, Mr. Speaker. All right, yes. I need a
Honorable member, before you break into another redemption, you'll need an extension.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the honorable member be given 5 minutes to conclude this presentation.
Go ahead, honorable member.
But yes, Mr. Speaker, they're out of touch with the harsh realities of this country. Just the other day, we had someone make a reference, but they walked through some valley and it fits up high and all kind of thing. When you walk through Victory Valley and you knock on people's doors and they complain and bring their problems to you, the pot torn up for 3 days, Mount Carno White, the PPP members over there are oblivious to that fact. That listen, people in this country are suffering. You wouldn't know about that, the honorable member Adel Nandalal, because you are doing well for yourself, right? Mr. Speaker, I have to close here, but let me say this here, that in order for this country, we call the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, to grow, the PPP must go. And let me make this clear, when the AP and UAFC get back into government in the next elections, we will find spaces for all of you because we believe in inclusivity. We believe in a bottom-up approach rather than a central government and top-down approach. We believe in uniting Guyanese. We will bring more investments to Guyana. We will raise our minimum wage. We will treat our elderly better than how they're being catered for. We'll improve our education, healthcare, and even the forestry sector and other minerals. Sir, I also want to close by saying this. If the two sides, the opposition and the government, cannot come together and work as one, this country cannot progress. And we must exercise political maturity. And it's sad to say that every year we come into this house and debate constantly about the increase in budgetary allocation and so forth. And there's not one recommendation that the PPP has taken from the opposition, which I believe represent majority of all Guyanese. Mr. Speaker, I rest my case by saying this. In Budget 2024's current form, I cannot, under no circumstances, because it does not cater for the poor, support this budget. God bless Guyana.
Thank you, honorable member. Our next speaker is the Honorable Alistair Charlie.